Here along with my incredible colleagues who will introduce in just a brief moment. I am honored to be here on the traditional territory
who are online. For those of you who are online, please keep your audio on mute because we get a lot of feedback. If you do have a question, please raise your hand using the raise your hand function. Erin is here. She will let us know that you have a question and we will try to field the question. Try to contain your questions to the information that is being presented today. If it's outside of the scope of today's discussion, we will get you an answer. It just won't be during the session, okay? For those of you who are joining us online, if you happen to lose your connection, feel free just to reconnect and you should be able to rejoin the meeting. We are recording this session, and so it's a good thing to have available to you if you needed to come back to it and look at it again, or if you lose your spot and you have to come back to it, then you're able to follow along. Do I just click this?
Yeah.
Haha. So this morning we have quite a dense section, lots of information, but we're also very pleased to be able to have some faculty members join us and share this information with you. This morning we have Greg McCallum from Business. We have Katie Burles from University Math and Sciences. And of course, you just met Avery from University Arts and Social Sciences. So lots of information to go through and ask good questions.
All right, so we are aware that there's a lot of information that we're going to go through today. Right now, we're going to talk about some 3 core documents that are really important for you to know the distinction between these 3 documents, where to find them at the college. And this is, as you'll see at the end of the presentation, the list of things that we want you to do before you show up in class on Wednesday. So the first is the program outline, okay? The program outline, as you'll see if we click on the link here, it's going to show us all of the list of the college programs. When you were accepted into the college, you applied to a certain program. You want to make sure that when you go into your Access Cotter, which is how you register for your courses, you need to check and make sure that that program is the correct program. You want to go in and double check that the program outline makes sense to you. So which program are you in? Who wants to give me a program? Yeah. Okay, so let's click on business. You will go here, let's say business management certificate, just to start. You're going to click on here and the link for the program is right in here on this page. I don't want to make this page too big, but I want you all to go through there and look at your program outlines. That tells you which courses you need to take, what the overall learning outcomes are of the program. We also have layouts for which courses to take during which semester. Those are there for a reason, to help you succeed and so that you have all the prerequisites. Don't try to re-engineer your own education and pick and choose which classes. Stick with those program outlines. If you have any questions about the program outlines, if it's business, you're going to come talk to Greg. If it's math or sciences or environmental, Katie. If it's arts or social sciences, criminal social justice, come talk to me or Pam. Pam is going to be your education advisor, and you can access any of our education advisors. The onus is on you to make sure that you understand the program outline and choose the courses in the right way. Okay? Over to Greg.
Thank you, Avery. So I'm looking at course outlines. So now you have your major program outline. Within your program, you have different courses. You want to be aware of what is involved in those courses. So that's where the course outline comes in. When you go on COTR online, you'll have access to course outlines for each of your courses. It's important you read through the course outline because it has very specific information about how you'll be assessed. So it'll say what the exams are worth, what the assignments are worth. It'll say if participation has value, how much value that participation has as well. So you want to be really aware of those things, and you also want to be aware of the letter grades that are involved on your course outlines as well. So when you get a letter grade or you get a numerical grade, you can convert it to a letter grade, and that's explained on there as well. Required textbooks are on there as well as learning outcomes. So that's what you're going to learn during the course of your of that particular course. So be sure to have a good look at those, and if you have questions, certainly talk to your instructor. From the course outline, we go even more specific to the course syllabus. And the syllabus is written by each instructor for that particular course. So it'll have the instructor name, it'll have the room number, or if the course is online, it'll specify that. It'll also have information such as when exams are, when assignments are due. It'll lay out any expectations in the classroom as well. And it'll say where your specific class is and how to reach your instructor. So office hours for your instructor, email for your instructor, and be sure to utilize those instructors if you have any questions about the course syllabus, questions about outlines, and questions about the program. Okay, on to Avery.
All right, so as Greg said, in your course outline and in your course syllabus, we tell you what textbooks and resources you need in order to take the course. It says in the course outline, required resources, and sometimes it'll say recommended resources. Required resources mean you have to have them. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. You cannot show up to class and take a class without having those required materials. One of the #1 reasons that students will say that they failed a course or got lower than they anticipated was A, because they didn't have the textbook, or B, that they didn't read the textbook. Now, our faculty work really hard because we know one of the biggest costs are textbooks. So we work really hard to find textbooks that are lower cost and textbooks that are free to access. So you need to go onto the bookstore text calculator, plug in all your courses, and it's going to tell you what textbooks you need. You then head over to the bookstore and you can buy them there. There's usually used copies. If you head down there right away, there'll be some used copies. They're first come, first served. Those are a lower price. Do not at this stage, it is too late to buy your textbook from Amazon or an online distributor. However, most of our textbooks in our classes, you can rent a copy or buy an online copy from the publishers. So you can make sure on your course outline, double check with your faculty, make sure you have the right edition of the textbook. If the textbook price looks cheaper, it's probably the wrong edition. We use the most current textbook information. There is a huge difference between a 5th edition and a 6th edition, or a 1st edition and a 6th edition. You may as well just buy a book on basket weaving or something, okay? So that is important. So can you do me all a favor? Get your textbooks and read them, right, Michelle? Now, do me another favor. Do not ask your faculty if you need the textbook, because you do, okay? And so please make sure and spread that word around through your communities of learners as well, that you have to have the textbook if you want to succeed, okay? All right. Katie.
Okay, so now we're just going to talk about some of the expectations of once you are actually in your courses. So you guys are on campus next week. You're going to start attending your classes. So yeah, well, Wayne's going to quickly talk about if you are on wait lists or if there's any changes to the sections that you're in.
Sure. So I had a look at the course sections with wait lists about an hour ago. There aren't many. If by chance you are on a wait list for a class, go to that class. Because the first almost 2 weeks of the semester, you can change classes. There's a very good chance that you get into the class. So it's important that you attend the class from the very beginning. Worst case scenario, you don't get into the class, you can stop attending at that point, okay? The college will go out of its way to clear these wait lists before the classes begin next week. And from what I see right now, there aren't many waitlisted courses.
Where do I find this wait list?
Oh, when you go to register, it'll say if the course is full or not. Okay. You should be registered already, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did I miss anything?
So unless you have in your registration profile that if you're on a wait list, you're going to know you're on a wait list.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It'll say you are waitlisted, and it might not charge you the tuition until you actually get into that seat. Okay, but what is really important is that don't wait till you get off that wait list to get in. You need to start coming because otherwise you're going to miss that first 3 weeks of the course content. So come right away and let us faculty know too.
Okay.
So I'm just going to quickly introduce the different ways that you could be taking a college or a course at the college, and then we're going to pass off a few and talk about the specifics of what that delivery looks like for the different classes. So at the college, you could take a class face-to-face where you'd meet in a room just like this. You could take it online only, so that's where a lot of the learning, happens off campus at your own pace. Or you could do an alternate class. Alternate classes are new to the college since the situation we've been in the last 18 months. But these classes are sort of a different model where you're still attending a live lecture, but
Like
you're
our
off.
Teams people.
Like the people who are joining the meeting right now that are on Teams. You could be in a lab. So if you're in a science course, there's likely a lab attached to that class. And for some of the classes, one of the classes, an option where you can take that online. The one thing we want to note is that for all of these models, it's very instructor dependent, the way that course is delivered. So we're going to give you a bit of an overview of what a typical face-to-face or online class would look like. But just know that you'll need to, read your course syllabus, like Avery was saying, and be in your COTR online site to really figure out how your instructor is going to deliver that specific course. All right.
So the first method of delivery that almost all of you will be in is our face-to-face. And this is exactly what we're doing here. So you'll show up at a scheduled time with your faculty in a classroom. These courses show up in your Access Coder in your registration profile. They'll have the course abbreviation, the number, a dash, and then it'll have a section number. So an 01, an 02, an 03, and then there will be listed a time and a place. Okay, so that's the key that you know that that's face-to-face. Now you have to, some of the things we're asking, because we're still in this COVID land, is to sit in the same seat that you can. Every class. The reason for that is so that we can get to know you better, because we now have these beautiful barriers that will make it a little bit harder for us to identify who's who sometimes. Also, it helps us to help you establish a learning environment so you can work with the same people in class. One of our big things is classes start, like our orientation today, 10 o'clock. We start at 10 o'clock. You need to be in a seat, ready to go, prepared at 10 o'clock, not 10:05. Come early, a few minutes early, okay? Now, I shouldn't say most, some of our faculty record the lectures so that if you miss a class, you can go back and look at that content. But not all of ours, Katie says, everybody does things differently. And so that's one of the beauties, but sometimes it can kind of be a pain. Okay. Sometimes we use CO2 online or some other method of communication to communicate with you in our face-to-face class, but outside class. So we'll send reminders out about readings, about assignments. We'll put course content in there. So just so you're clear, if on registration, even if you get a link and add it to a CO2 online page, you still need to be, if it says time and a room number, we need to see your beautiful shiny eyes in the class at that date and time. If you do not show up, those beautiful people on the wait list will take your seats. Okay, so that's really, really important. If it's face-to-face, you need to be here as long as you're healthy, you pass the BC Thrive every morning, and that you're not required to isolate. Now over to who's doing alternate. Katie?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the alternate delivery, as I was just saying, this is sort of a new one for us. And so again, this one can look very different from instructor to instructor. But what will happen is often if you're in one of these classes, you won't have a specific room number, but there will be a class time provided. And so it'll be just like we were saying, the learners that are joining us on Teams right now, you would have a link, and at 10 a.m. you would log into your class and you would view it live with the rest of the class. These are hosted, so you might hear instructors refer to terms like synchronous, and so that's a term that we have sort of adopted this year to mean that the online learning happens at the same time as the instructor is delivering the lecture or the different sort of activities that you'll be doing in your class. Often these classes are delivered using Teams like the platform we're using now, and some instructors prefers using Zoom, which is another online platform. Most of these classes will use COTR Online as a way to share course assignments and any files or readings with students. So we'll get that back up. And then Greg is going to talk to us about the online sections.
Keep going, Greg. I'll just dial them in.
So at the College of the Rockies, we do offer online classes. So those classes you would attend through your computer, not in person. So be aware that Moodle, which is our learning platform, is our online learning environment. You may hear it referred to as Moodle, but we try to be consistent and call it COTR Online or Cotter Online. So these classes will be, as I said, available in COTR Online. They are asynchronous, which means that you can do your studies, do your readings, watch lectures, look at the PowerPoints, do the readings at your own time. There'll be discussions on those, a lot of times on those online courses. So you'll be required to participate in discussion forums or conversations about a particular area that you're studying. You can usually respond to those whenever it works best for you, outside of your work hours, outside of your other class or your face-to-face class hours. Just make sure you keep up with the course and don't fall behind, because a lot of online students, because they're not really engaged with their classmates and with their faculty, they tend to slide behind. Don't let that happen. If you do find you're struggling with an online class, reach out to your instructor. Attend the office hours. Message your instructor and say you're struggling. We're more than happy to help you get up to speed again, to give you study tips, and to get you caught up. So just don't go, oh no, I'm so far behind, I'm just going to disappear, because that's not the way to succeed. You have to be proactive and let us know, okay? So be sure you do that.
Who has online classes? Excellent.
Few online classes?
Okay.
Good. Yeah, so inside COTR Online, you'll see there'll be course outlines, there'll be the syllabus, there'll be week-to-week breakdowns of what you're doing each week. There'll be readings on there, usually discussions once a week. There'll be assignment and due dates, and we don't deal with paper. So you will upload your assignments to the Dropbox, to the assignment Dropbox. Make sure you upload them on time. Double check to make sure they correctly uploaded. Don't upload your drafts. Make sure it's the final version. because all these things will just complicate your life, right? So just make sure you're uploading the proper files and make sure you upload it in the time that it's due. Because a lot of times, if you miss the deadline, you won't be able to upload your file. Okay, so be sure you check on
We
that.
love your grandma's recipe books, but we don't want to see that in lieu of your final assignment. And yes, that happens.
It's really important that you do all your classes, especially online, on a computer.
Yes.
I've had a lot of students come thinking that you could do your courses on your phone. Won't work. So if you're taking online courses, you absolutely have to have a computer.
Good point. Thank you. Okay, on to Katie about labs.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just see on the slide that the courses are available for 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Did you mention that? Like, is it the case? And then it's 24 hours from when? Because for example, I have an online class.
Yeah.
For now, I just noticed the time for the office hours of the professor, but we don't really have a time for the class yet. If you arrive and then it will be 24 hours from that.
No, it's not
No.
24. They're available 24 hours a day, which means you have access to that
okay.
course all day long.
I
So
got-
if you do
I
your best work,
misinterpreted it.
if you do your best work at 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
Yeah.
do it at 2 in the
But
morning.
you'll be
Yeah.
by yourself at 2 in the morning. Your
Yeah.
faculty will connect with you during that office hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and their office hours will be specified, but you could reach out to us and message us.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
That is an
Yeah,
excellent
no,
question.
but
Thank you.
perfect, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we don't work 24 hours. We're not robots. We're humans.
Okay, so for labs, do we have people taking any science courses that have labs? Perfect, there's a few of you. So all the labs are basically face-to-face. There is one exception with Geography 101 this year, where we're doing an online lab, but it'll be that synchronous alternate delivery. So they are face-to-face. There is this myth that we don't have labs first week, but that is very instructor dependent. A lot of labs do take place first week, and it might be just getting a safety orientation or just starting to kind of go through some of the materials. So make sure that you're checking. Usually we'll post on the door if there's no lab first week of your lab space, but your instructor should also let you know through how they're communicating with you or in the syllabus or during your first class. The other thing to make sure you've purchased all your course materials before attending lab. So some lab classes do have a lab manual that's pre-printed at the bookstore for your convenience to purchase. So you'll need to have all those materials again, just like Avery was saying about the textbooks. If there's anything specific that you need for that course, just make sure that you have that before that very first lab. And I think, again, we've heard this from Avery, and I think Greg made reference to it too, that attending your face-to-face classes and being there on time is really important. And we do have attend every class and to be early, but that's if you're healthy. So you really need to, again, that Thrive assessment, that daily health check. If you pass that, please come to class. If there's a reason for you to be at home, you can't be penalized for staying home because you're not feeling well. So that's a really important thing to think about. But being there on time and being there a bit early is really important. If you're in a class like this with 40 students and people are coming in late and disrupting the instructor and disrupting your learning, that can be really frustrating. We do end the class 10 minutes early. So if you have a class from 10 to 11:30, the instructors should be wrapping up and ending that class at around 11:20. So there is that 10 minutes for students to come and go. And really, lateness is not acceptable in Canada and at the college. It really is considered rude and disrespectful, and it disrupts really the learning environment. And that's what's, I think, really important. And there are certain instructors that will have policies around lateness. So at 10 a.m. or they will lock the door and they won't let students come in late. Other instructors may have, other policies where you can come in a certain door or be quiet, but that's something that's going to be really instructor dependent. We know that things happen and that you could be a few minutes late, but it's really important to try to to be on time and to be aware of what your instructor's expectations are for that. Okay, Greg.
Okay, missed classes and illness. As we've stressed before, make sure you do a daily self-assessment if you're coming on campus. Be sure that you're healthy, you're feeling good. If you're not, stay home and isolate yourself until you're feeling better and whatnot, and go through the proper health protocols for that. Just be aware it's your responsibility to catch up on anything that you've missed in class. So it's your responsibility, not your instructors, to give you a full lecture on what you missed. So establish study groups. If you are going to miss a class, talk with another student and see if you can get their notes afterwards and find out what was said during the class. So please do that. If you're going to be absent for a class, let the instructor know as a courtesy. That way we know that you're well, everything is okay, or you may not be well, but at least we know where you are. Because if you're missing for a long period of time, we will try to track you down and find out what's going on. Let your instructor know. If you're feeling sick or you're ill, let your instructor know before the exam or before the class or before the assignment is due. That way we know that it's legitimate. If you say it after the fact, it's not, for the instructor, we're not really sure what's going on. When we much prefer to know in advance or at the time as opposed to afterwards. Don't email your instructor asking for what went on during the class again. It's your responsibility. Okay, looking at participation and active listening. So online, make sure that you're participating in the discussion forums. Make sure you're asking questions. In class, the same thing. We're all pretty friendly. We don't bite, so ask questions you may have, add to the conversation, and even ask questions of your fellow students sometimes too, to find out what their perspective is in the class. The more we engage in class, the more interesting it'll be for you and for the instructor. And we can get into a much deeper conversation about the topics if you're part of the program. You all bring unique experiences from different parts of the world. We want to hear about those. Things aren't all just done the same way all over the world. We appreciate that. And I think we all grow as people when we realize how different cultures approach different things. So please take time to engage with us.
One of the big things is Greg's finding his place is that many of us faculty have a zero tolerance policy for sleeping in class and for using electronics in class. That is a big, we've learned from our students, that is a big culture shift from whether students are coming out from the high school, whether they're coming from different countries, is that when we're in class, we only have an hour and a half with you in most of our class, or some of Katie's labs are a bit longer. We need you to be awake, alive, and ready to go. We need you to be prepared and participating in the class. If you don't, you may as well stay home because there's no point. I always say, think about how you would feel if Greg, Katie, and I stood up here with our smartphones, right? You're here listening to us. We're here to help you. And so how do we feel when we look out and everybody's like snoozing or on their devices? So please, please, please remember that respect, respect, respect. And when a faculty is saying respectful, that is one of the big things is please put your devices away if you're not using it to take course notes. Sorry, Greg.
No problem. When the instructor is doing lectures and whatnot, please don't talk amongst yourselves and have conversations. It's disrespectful, obviously, to the instructor. It's disruptive to the rest of the class as well. And the instructors will call you out for that. So if you're having conversations, I'm just going to say, hey, stop, because it is disruptive, right? So if you have questions, definitely to ask the instructor, but don't have your side conversations going on. And I'll make sure that if someone's talking when you're talking, that I'll make sure they respect your time and what you have to say as well, okay? All right, moving along. Study hours and times. We're looking at main reason students fail or do poorly in a class is they don't take enough time with their courses, they don't do the readings, they don't do enough study time. So please develop good study habits right from the beginning. Full-time student means that you're putting in a full shift, and that means 40 to 45 hours a week. So you're taking, say, 5 classes a week, an hour and a half a class, plus on top of that, you should be studying an additional 6 hours outside of your class time to be successful. So it is, if you're a full-time student, it's like a full-time job. So keep that in mind. So if you're working part-time while you're here at the college, don't think you can study part-time. It doesn't work that way. The reason you're here is to study. So study the 40 hours, work your 20 hours, but make sure you don't take time from the college study to work. So be aware of that.
So that is something that Pam can help you with. We have other people as well, resources in the college that can help you with building what we call study schedules, how to manage your time. And those of us who've been here quite a few years have seen that as one of the biggest successes when students create a schedule that every week, this is from this hour to this hour, I'm going to work on this course. Then I'm going to work on this course. And then you can try to fit in your social life and your work activities around that. But you will be needing to study on the weekends, because if you have Monday classes, you need to be prepared for those. So please, the biggest failure we see for students is they look at their schedule, especially if you're in like business, university studies, you'll see, oh, I only have to be on campus for 12 hours a week. Look at all this free time. Oh, goodness, no. And we've all been there because we were all students too. And so you have to remember is that is minimal. You have to come in prepared, and then we give you a ton of work to do after class. So just make sure that you don't look at that schedule and say, oh, I'm done class at noon, so I can go get a job. We're going to keep you hopping. We're going to keep you busy. We're going to give you your money's worth.
Right on. Okay, to talk about instructors, we'll move on to Katie.
Or Avery, are you gonna?
Yeah, do you want me to do
Okay,
this?
you can do it.
Okay, so these are your new besties.
Some of them.
Some of them. These are some of our faculty. Our faculty too have come from all over. They are here to work with you. Their jobs are to support your learning, okay? Do not be afraid of your faculty. If you're afraid of a faculty or you don't know how to talk to them, then that's where you would come talk to Greg if you're in business, or Katie if you're in math sciences or the environmental courses, or myself, okay? We are here to help you. So don't be afraid, okay? Now, we have a couple rules, guidelines around how to communicate with your faculty. So our job is to prepare you for your further education or to prepare you to go into a career. So we are kind of sticklers on professional communications, okay? Please don't send us emails, hey bro, what's up? IDK, what's up? We don't speak, some of us aren't very cool. And there's a big gap, so we have no idea what you're talking about. Please write us emails as you would apply for a job, okay? That's another thing that you will be getting support on, is how to communicate effectively, okay? All your faculty have these designated, we've talked about them, these office hours. Those are times when we sit in our office alone or online, and we are there to help you. And do you know that is one of the most underutilized times? That we have about 100 students on average each semester, give or take, and very few people come and visit us. We get really lonely during those times. So make us work. Come and see us, ask us questions. If those times don't work for you in your schedule, email us and say, can we find another time to meet? And we will move mountains to meet with you. Except for if it's 2 in the morning. Some of us may be inclined to, but yeah, we usually work during the week. Some of us who teach online as well will have office hours in the evening, but sometimes we love our jobs. Sometimes we can help you out other times as well. Always ask us. Now, the other boundary is, because we are humans, and we have rules and lives, is like, try to communicate with us in class. Please ask questions during class, because I guarantee you other people are going to have the same question. Everybody is shy and nervous. Your first year classes are full of people who are here for the first time. Regardless of where you're from, nobody knows, right? And everybody is terrified. So don't be scared. Put your hand up and ask questions. Other people will thank you. Use your college email only, okay? We get lots of emails from Sweetheart 69999, okay? We don't know who Sweetheart 699 is. A lot of you will have international email addresses that might even get filtered out, so we won't even get them. So if you want, you have to email us from your college email and tell us what your registered name is and your preferred name. So some of you will be registered under a name that is consistent with your visa or your passport, but you would like us to call you a different name. We will call you whatever you want to be called, okay? But please make sure that you help us get to know you by providing us with those names, okay? So we know who's who. On the other end is one of our pet peeves here is we don't like being called ma'ams. Katie, do you like being called ma'am?
No. Katie.
No.
Yeah.
No. And Greg doesn't like being called sir. We don't want you calling Greg a sir, because then he's going to walk around thinking he's almighty, right? Right? We are Avery, Katie, and Greg. All of your instructors here go by first name, okay? Nobody is going to say, call me Professor so-and-so. And if they do, just humor them. But I don't know anyone who would do that, okay? Don't be scared of us. You're going to see us in the grocery store. You're going to see us in the bathrooms. Our only request is, let's not talk about work stuff and school stuff in the bathrooms, in the hallways, at the grocery store. Okay, it's a really small community. We're always going to say hi to you and say hi to us, but we need to keep it professional. All right, Katie.
So yeah, there's just a few online resources, and some of them have come up several times in this presentation, and I won't go into detail. They are all in the handout that we provided. So these are really good places for you to start getting information. The portal, for example, has the notice board. So that's where we post if there's any classes that are canceled or any changes. And then COTR Online, I think you guys are getting a session today or tomorrow entirely about the COTR Online platform. But these will be some of your really go-to resources as you get going. So make sure you can log into all of them and you know where they are, or save them in your browser history on your computer so that, yeah, you can access them easily. Okay, Greg's gonna give us some tips for success.
Okay, tips for success. We've talked about most of these, and I won't go through all of them, but obviously be engaged, be an active learner. Make sure that you use your calendar function in your phone, or if you use a hard calendar, write down your due dates for assignments in one place. It helps you so much to have a glance of this assignment's due here, 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 and you can start planning your schedule and planning your life around that. If you look at each class as a separate siloed class, you don't see the big picture and you'll miss assignments. So make sure you use that calendar function, all right? Arrange your work schedule so you can really focus on your classes, and be sure to tell your employer, obviously they'll know you're a student, and be sure to remind them when they ask you to pick up shift here or there that that's my study time, that's my exam time, that's my assignment time. Be prepared for class, do the readings before class, even think of a few questions and write them down. So when you show up at class and we're discussing the topics, you can ask those questions. If you might feel nervous when you're in the class, think of the questions before you come and get engaged that way. Pay attention, obviously. Don't leave assignments to the last minute, and a lot of people do this, and I was guilty of this a bit when I was a student as well. I kind of work better under pressure, but don't do that. You can really get yourself in trouble if you leave them, because we don't know when your other assignments are due, and you'll find times when 2 assignments are due on the same day. You can't do both of them and do them well. unless you're planning ahead. So be sure to look at those assignment due dates. And again, the calendar is the way to do that. Use writing labs and writing tutors as much as you can. If English is a second language for you, I think it's amazing that you're studying in English if it's not your first language. But go get those tutors to review your assignments a week before they're due. They'll give you some pointers on how to polish those assignments to get those A's that you're looking for. Take advantage of all the supports that are available. And again, you can ask program coordinators, your instructors, Pam, they'll direct you to the resources you need. And there's lots of them here. And reach out to your classmates, get to know them. The more you engage with your classmates, the more enjoyable time you'll have here at the college, and you'll be able to support each other when times get tough as well. You know, when things get stressful and exams are happening and due dates. We do a lot of group work at the college. Engage with your groups and make sure that you work with your groups and set expectations. So everyone in that group is doing their fair share, because we see that a lot when there's problems within groups. Why do we put you in groups when it's so painful? It's because life is that way. You have to work with others.
Life is painful.
It's not fair, and I know, but life isn't fair. The workplace isn't fair. You need to know how to communicate, set expectations, work together. So take those group work opportunities as a way to build those life skills that you will use, guaranteed. Okay? All right. Moving on.
You're going to need help. We all need help, right? And the biggest sign of success in students around here is those who know how to ask for help. Anyone in these hallways, it doesn't matter who they are, even other students, everybody will help you. You stop someone on the street in Cranbrook, I guarantee you most people will be like happy to help you. The Kootenai culture here is everybody is here to help you. But we don't know that you need help or support unless you tell us, okay? So please, please, please communicate, communicate, communicate. We are very patient. We can help you. Our international department will help you if you find it easier to communicate first with somebody who knows your language when you're struggling. We will help you with that. So don't be afraid. We always say, don't suffer in silence. This is going to be probably the most craziest time of your life, the next 15 weeks. You are going to regret every decision you've made to be here. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be, you're going to get through September and you'll be like, okay, then October, and you're like, oh my God, exams, this is awful. And then November, which is awful because the weather changes, you're going to start freezing your butt off and all of your big assignments are due. And you realize then probably that you need a lot more help and a lot more time than you're putting in. And then December, and by the time November, end of October comes, you are so homesick or craving your familiarities. We know this, right? Like we're here to help you as much as we can. We're here to listen. We're here to comfort you where we can, okay? And we know this cycle. So you're not the first person to seriously be like, what did I do to myself? And I paid for this, right? But the rewards, when you walk out of that final exam at the end of December and you get those final grades, it is all worth it. Trust me. That's why you'll keep coming back for more. Because it is so rewarding, but it is painful, right? And you'll notice us too. Well, like everybody walks around in the same, our faculty. November's hard, okay? So here, I'm not going to go through everything, but there's so much support. We wrote down some tips in the handout. What do I do when an assignment arrives, right? We wrote out some tips. Talk to your faculty, do this, do that. Try to figure it out as much as you can on your own, but walk through those steps. So take a look at that. We have a ton of support for writing. So those of you who have English as a second language, we got you. But you need to come to us. You will fail if you don't access the supports. I'm just going to tell you how it is, right? You need to access a lot of the supports if you're struggling. So we have supports, whether English is your second language or your first language. We have tutors that will help go through and copyright, right? Or copy edit and say, fix this, fix that. When students go through those resources, we notice they jump at least 1 letter grade, okay? We notice a marked improvement. But you know what? Not many people use those. They just hand in crappy assignments. Don't hand in crappy assignments. Use these free resources, okay? So that's all on the website for you. Counseling and wellness. We know, as I said, things are going to get hard. It's going to get tough. The international department staff are here to help you. We have counselors. We have our advisors. We have so much here to help you. You are not alone, my friends. Now, Wayne's going to come over and tell you some things. This is important for you to know. What do we want you to do before you show up in class on Wednesday? Wayne.
Thank you. So the first thing that I want everyone to do is be really active with Jumpstart. Jumpstart begins tomorrow. There's lots of good information in Jumpstart. You'll get to meet other students just the same. So please take part in Jumpstart. After this afternoon's session with Cotter Online, you'll learn about how to use the different systems that are available to you for your learning. So after you have the session this afternoon, log into Cotter Online, walk around, have a look, test drive some things. As we talked about earlier today, have a look at the course outlines and the syllabus for each of your courses. Then you can get a little bit more familiar with what's going to happen next week. Make sure you purchase your textbooks, so important. And then review your schedule. I think one of the downfalls is students realize on the first day of class that I have to be there in 5 minutes. They run into class, and it doesn't work that way. So make sure you review your schedule and understand when you need to be and where. The college, as small as it is confusing. And so maybe have a walk around and find where your classrooms are before the actual class begins, okay? There's a system for getting your college ID. And for international students, you have to get your college ID so you can get your bus pass stuck onto it. So follow that process to get your college ID. You can send them your picture and they'll put that onto your college ID and stick the bus pass onto the back for it, okay? We're down to 7-ish minutes. Questions? Are there any questions from, no questions on? Okay, Michelle.
Just the one about the luciango, is that just a mobile version of Cotter Online?
No.
The-
Go ahead, Katie, if you want.
I'm not even.
Okay, so
Lucian.
Lucian Go is everything synced into one app. So Lucian Go is your one-stop shop. You have a link for the website, the portal, CO2 Online, Access Cotter. You can access everything from your mobile device. And it is the minute-to-minute changes. So Lucian Go is where you can set it up so you get notifications if something is added onto a course even. Like there's different settings in it for notifications. If something happens at the college, we have a college closure. You can see on there, it'll show you where there's new messages. You can go and you can order your transcripts from there. You can see your grades. So it is an excellent one-stop shop. So you'll notice like on your CO2 Online pages, we update stuff all the time. So you may be sitting at work at home and you can just open up your app and you can check your email, your college email, your CO2 Online messages, everything all by going through the list. So that's why we recommend it, because you can walk around the halls and you can actually find your classrooms. Yeah? It's called Lucian Go. So the link is back in there. And so it's available on Apple and on Android and I think on Windows. So you can actually upload it through the Google Play Store or through the Apple Play Store, and it's free. And then you'll just log on with your central college ID and it actually syncs everything for you. So some of us faculty use it as well because it shows us which classrooms we have to be in when. I believe it now has a calendar app in it, so you can actually put all your activities and stuff in it. So we just highly recommend it. It's a good, we call it the one-stop shop. So
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Here.
You said earlier that electronics are usually not allowed in classes. Does that include laptops?
No, so electronics, you'll find our classrooms are really electronic friendly. You've got you've got plugs here. And so thank you for asking that question, because we do notice that like a lot of students take notes on their computers or will refer, some classes require you to bring a computer with them. So it's about just doing the activities that you need to be doing. So while you're taking notes, not having your social media on. So one good example I always tell my students, like, let's say, what's your name?
Anna.
Anna is at on her computer. She's got course notes going, okay? Then all of a sudden her bubbles start popping up because there's some super cool stuff going on Twitter. Everybody sitting in this room is going to be distracted by what's going on Anna's computer, and then nobody's listening to us. So we call that the zone of distraction with electronic devices. But if she's focusing on the class stuff, it'll actually help induce your learning, because you'll kind of tune that out and focus back up here. So you'll hear us talking about that. So yes, using electronics in the class, but we're not stupid. We know that if you're sitting there on your smartphone and how you're using it, and you start laughing, we're not that funny. We always say the looking at your crotch, right? Like, who looks at their crotch during class? People who are using their phone. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Is there any questions that came through on the teams?
Just one, but I answered it.
Okay.
Okay.
Did we scare you?
A lot of information to start. Yeah.
And no, you're going to hear it again next week. So we do have on the 7th, the Tuesday, we have your program orientations. So those will be very different from the international orientations, where you'll come and you'll get to meet all the rest of the science students or all the rest of the criminal social justice students. You'll get to meet the faculty, and they'll give you specific details to your specific programs. So that'll be something really good to make sure you can attend those on the 7th. On the college website, if you type in orientation, there's a list of all of the different orientations and their times. So yeah, do the jump start before you come, but then those orientations will give you a chance to meet the other students that are in your programs and those faculty. So that'll be a really good, so if it feels like a lot of info now, don't worry, you're gonna hear it again and again, and in your classes the first week. So it's just a good chance for you to hear it multiple times. Yeah.
We also left our business cards here on the edge for you. Grab them, pass them around, make us feel like we're popular. There's also additional handouts there. So if you have a friend who's not here that you think this information is good to put on your bulletin board or just to have handy when you're like, I remember someone saying something about this, we'll also give you more information at the program outlines. So if you're feeling the information is the same, because it is, a lot of it, it's a repetition trying to help you feel prepared. You are at such an incredible advantage for being here today.
Definitely.
Absolutely online or here. So I want to first thank you for being on time, being active, being present, because this is your first huge step to success. So.
Okay. When I welcomed everyone on Monday, one of the things I said is each and every one of you is going to have to learn differently.
Yeah.
And you're getting a taste of that this week. Some of the feedback that we always hear from students, regardless of what your first language is that everyone speaks quickly here. Yeah. And you saw that today. We covered a lot of information in 60 minutes of time. And I want to convey to each and every one of you as you're going through your classes, if you miss something or if the instructor is going too quickly for you, it's okay to slow them down, because I would guess that they don't realize that they're going at their regular pace. And it's important because if you've missed something, someone else has probably missed it too. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to say, hey, I missed that. Can you rephrase it? Can you say it again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so excellent, Wayne, because most of us have been at home for a year and a half and are like so desperate to see humans and get back in the class. So please tell us, like, whoa, yeah. Dial it down a notch.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.